Hi everybody, welcome again to another program of Yeshiva Classroom, and we can be found on this website and also on the internet, or you can call me. But basically we want to go over some informative information and how we can relate to that. This is a picture of the Aron, the Ark, which is described firstly on the building of the portable temple. And we hope to go on to that subject as the program goes on. And I want to show you a great many pictures. Now, the point I want to make over here before we begin is, we have the subject of Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox as they're called. But really, what the word Hared means are the fearful ones of God, those that fear God, His awe and His greatness. We are constantly aware that those subject matter regarding God are paramount in our lifestyle. Wherever and whenever we do, we always have to remember that God is above us and that we are here on this world to fulfill our part of the covenant, because we made a covenant, B'nai Bris. We are part of the covenant. Now, this is in this box are the only physical objects that were ever given to man by God, and those are the Ten Commandments written on the two stone tablets, which are placed in this ark. And you notice the staves, the poles that are always attached or slid through the openings because they, like the other appurtenances or furniture, are always ready to move when the portable temple. All of these objects that I'm going to be showing you are objects, furniture that is placed in the portable temple. Now, over in this little hut type of construction is the holy area, where this is divided. This is divided into two parts, where you have this standing in one part and you have three objects in the other part. Now, I want to show you that this is the ark that is in this building here, this little construction right here. That is in the Holy of Holies, and that is on the portable, inside the Mishkan, or the portable temple that is constructed and put into place when the ark and this portable temple, right? The portable temple is constructed when they move to different sites. And I'm going to go into that. But first, oh, look at that. But first, I want to talk about a little bit about the Haredi, which the the New York Times denigrates from time to time. Especially they speak about those large families that are backward in time, and once the teenagers become of age and is able to look outside of their communities, they drop the lifestyle and go on to a non-observant lifestyle, and they give to a couple examples. From time to time, they always have some interview with some person who saw the light and now is out of that environment and lives a quote-unquote happy life. But they fail to realize that the Torah talks about this person and they fail to realize that this is only a minority of people that leave the fold. Only a small minority. And oftentimes, these people come back. They come back to this lifestyle once they see the alternative to quote-unquote the happy, free lifestyle. So we're talking about a lot of things here, and we're talking now a little bit about the Haredim, right? The Haredim, and how beautiful they are, and how happy they are in that lifestyle of always having awe and interest and in their minds that God is the supreme being, creator of heaven and earth. And the Jewish people have a Mishkan, a portable temple. And in that portable temple, I'm going to show you, God willing, all the different articles, the furniture. But first, I want to show you that this portable temple traveled throughout the desert. In other words, when the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, they put the furniture inside that temple, portable temple, because it traveled, as the Torah says, for 40 years before they entered the land of Canaan or Israel. So this map shows, I don't know how well it comes out, but it shows the 42 stops. The 42 stops that the Jewish people made after leaving Egypt on Passover, those years before, right? And what we see is they started out in Ramses, in Egypt, right? They started out in Ramses. Let's see where they have Ramses is. Yeah, right here. Right here. They started out at Ramses. That's where the pyramids are built, and that's how the Jews learned how to be builders, because they were probably the slaves that built the pyramids. So here we have this portable temple is going here from Ramses all the way, and they're named all the way from into the Sinai Peninsula and different stops. One stop they stay for 19 years, and here they go all the way around down into the Sinai Peninsula. The names are given in the Bible, the names of these stops, and here they come all the way around here and back and forth until they come to the Jordan River, and God gives them the land of presently Transjordan. The Jews defeated Sichon, Melech HaAmori, and Og Melech HaBashan. These are areas that is on the other side of the Jordan that were taken illegally by these people because they original settlers. God gave them that land, and that land is presently Transjordan, and that was settled by the tribe of Reuven. Reuven settled on the other side of the Jordan. There was Reuven, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. And we can show you these pictures. We have them but to present them is something else, because I could use some help, that's for sure. But this is the this is the route, the journey. And I'm sure if the archaeologists, when they have the time, they could locate these places. And I'm sure they can uncover some of the belongings that were left behind when they moved on the different sites. So here is the portable temple. This is the entire Mishkan, the tabernacle, which consisted of, as we pointed out, the Holy Ark, which contained the physical object. Right here is the Ark, which is placed in that area. Right here it is a closer a picture of it, but it is all in the area right here. This is the area that we have the Ark of the Covenant, and that is placed in that area of the Holy of Holies. It's divided into two areas, right? It's divided into two sections, that Mishkan, that area that we showed you. And one section has only the physical object that was given to man. And the other section has the little small golden altar, which incense was burnt, and that's on the other side of the curtain. And here's another picture of it, the picture of the golden altar where incense was burnt, and you have the staves which was carried by the Levium once the order was given to travel on, right? So that's the golden altar, and the other thing was the place where the showbreads were put. There were 12 loaves representing the 12 tribes, and the sustenance that was given by God in the form of the showbread. And of course we have, and of course there's the staves on which Levium carried them once the order was given. And here is the candelabra, which is also in that section. What section are we talking about? All of these are in the section of the Mishkan, right here, this part. That all those three articles on one side of the curtain, which was, the parochus, the curtain, which was the candelabra, and the golden altar, and the table of showbread. And they all had staves in it. And those staves were used to carry those articles to the next place, right? And we showed you that there were 42 stops. 42 stops where we showed you the stops that they took, like the lahavdil, like a carnival. Once the order was given, once the shofar was sounded, the people left and unpacked the structure, right? Unpacked the structure, and they continued to Ramses. Right. Here they are. Right, Ramses. Right. They unpacked that structure. Right. Unpacked it and carried it to the next spot. Here's Ramses, and that's when they were given the order in Passover years ago, when we got out of that environment of slavery, and had the Torah, where we learned the Torah, Talmud, and these are the different stops, right? There are, if you count them all, they are 42 in number, 42 stops with the names of each stop written in here. So, yeah, so that's one thing. So we want to impress upon you the significance of the portable temple, and also the belief in the coming of the Messiah, and the coming of a building of the temple, right? But firstly, the portable temple went with the Jewish people throughout the travels in the desert for 40 years. And once they came over to Israel, or Canaan, right, which happened to be 400 years later, 400 years later after the signing or the sealing of the covenant between Abraham, our forefather, and God. And in chapter 15 in Genesis, it tells you that your people will be in exile for 400 years. For 400 years. And that's what happened. Abraham's children, beginning with Isaac, who was 60 years of age when Jacob was born, and Jacob was 130 when he went down to Egypt. 60 and 130 was, it's 190. That's total 190 children in exile. And then they were in Egypt for 210 years, and Joseph brought them down to Egypt, where they thrived successfly. But after his death, they began to assimilate, and as assimilation, it brought on lack of fear and performance of the mitzvahs, of the commandments, and that's why they went into slavery. But they could have been there into exile 400 years without being enslaved the last 80 years of that situation. So that was 400 years. So why did they have to wait 400 years? Because the people that took over Canaan were not the rightful owners, but they had to improve the land for the Jewish people, because it says over there in Genesis that Canaan will serve Shem. That's his brother. Shem, Ham, and Shem, Ham, and Yophes. They're the three brothers of Noah. And Noah prophesied that Canaan, descendants of Ham, will serve Shem. And these are the Jewish people. The descendants of Shem are the Jewish people. So the Canaan were ordered to serve the Jewish people, and for 400 years they built up the land. They hewed cisterns which held the water. They improved the gardening and the planting, the fields and the roads, and did a lot of construction while the Jews were learning Torah. And what I wanted to say is that there are 7, rotation of crops is very important. And the Jews were commanded on planting, to let their field grow fallow during the 7th year, so that the land can rejuvenate itself with the fungi and the earthworms and all the other inhabitants of the soil. Well, today they say, well, we don't need to let the land lie fallow, but we'll put other crops instead, which don't take out the same minerals. But they're getting away from that now, and they're letting lands grow fallow. The government allows them to let the land grow fallow and pays them for that. But the Jews knew the secret years ago, that the 7th year, Shemitah, was the 7th year, and on the 7th year, they were to let the land grow fallow and not rotate different crops on it, because rotation doesn't bring back the fungus, the fungi, and all the other inhabitants of the earth, making it more productive. So the Jews know that area very well. And as a matter of fact, what do we have? They were 40 years in the desert. 40 years in the desert. And what do you think they were learning? They were learning the commandments of the Talmud, right? The Talmud, and the explanation of the Bible, right? So that's what the Haredim, right? We talk about the Haredim earlier, right there. The God-fearing people, right? They fear. They have all of God. They want to make sure they get to do the right thing, so that and hold up the covenant with the Jewish people and with God. So they were there for 40 years, and here we have the New York Times ridiculing them, saying, "Oh, they went away. We're going to go back to Talmud. We're going to say a little bit of Torah, God willing." So here we have the New York Times interviewing these people, these lovely families, and I think Roxanne is in one of those families. But there are a lot of people coming there, and they are growing. And even though that we know that some will go away, as the Torah tells us, still many come back, and it's growing. Not that they're seeing the quote-unquote the happy, good, happy life of the freedom of where the women are going around half naked. No, they're going around to the lifestyle of the Torah, to the Haredim, the God-fearing people who observe all of the commandments to the best of their ability, and no TV and all of that. Here, if you want to contact me, but the point is that the Torah speaks about these people that have gone away. In 29, in Deuteronomy, you got to get a paper and write these things down. Not, the New York Times subtly is against or ultra-Orthodox. It seems that the word Orthodox in Judaism is permissible, but the ultra-Orthodox is what they're homing in on. And I want to tell you that this article doesn't have the lifestyles of those that departed, but there's other articles in the Times. Subtly they try to influence you. But if you look at the election cycle, there are right now an election that's going to be taking place. By the way, this is being recorded on the date of the month of February the 13th. On Friday, Erev Shabbos, Parsh Mishpatim, right? Ve'ele Mishpatim, and these are the laws, the civil laws and the torts. Ve'ele Mishpatim. We just now finished the portion of Yisro, where we got the Torah portion of Yisro, where we got the Torah, divinely given land, the divinely given laws and lifestyles and directives and ordinances and what withal to live by, and we cherish them dearly. And right after that portion comes the portion of V'ele. The word V means these mishpatim, these torts and civil laws and damages and responsibilities that a person has between fellow man are also given at Mount Sinai. We learn it now from V'ele, and these are the laws between man and man that are just as important, if not so. You know, I came across a man that said, what do I need all these laws? This is the 21st century. How is that going to make me a better person? Look, man has free will, and he knows what it means to be kind. But the Torah takes it to the nth degree and tells you what is considered good and kind, that you may not expect, and how to treat people, and not to insult, and all these beautiful laws are given in the Torah. So what I wanted, you know, there's so many things jump into my mind, I don't know which way I'm going, but basically you should have a pen and a pad and look up these things in the Torah in your English book when you get home. And I don't mean the Bible that you took out of the hotel room, which are translated incorrectly and blatant errors in the translation. No, I want them to look at the numbers in the book of Numbers 23:19, chapter 23:19 in Numbers. God is not a man, God is not a son of a man, and God is not fickle. He does not change his mind. God was shown to the Jewish people through his voice on Mount Sinai without any form. And anybody that tells you that his leader had an epiphany and came out and said, the laws are changed, I'm going to recreate the wheel, and I'm going to have Friday as my rest day, and Saturday and Sunday is my rest day, but forget about the Sabbath of Friday night, and Saturday, you know, having the trial of Trump. What a righteous person he is, such a righteous person that the media denigrated him with all kinds of negativity, things that he never said from the get-go, from Jerome Nadler to Adam Schiff, collusion with the Russian government and the Mueller investigation, and they want to impeach him first time because his telephone conversation was overheard, quid pro quo, and here we have tape of Biden quid pro quo, speaking to the Iranian leadership, but only honing in on character assassination from the get-go, because this is what their agenda is. Socialism and communism. And I want to tell you that President Trump earns the respect of millions of people, and not only that, he'll get the ultimate reward, I'm sure, of the next world for having acted so righteously, following many of the dictates of the Torah, and that being making the capital of Jerusalem, giving back the Golan Heights, and all of these things. The economy of the United States has blossomed and stopped the caravans from coming. All right, we're speaking on February 13th. And as I speak, I understand the caravans are back in action. They're at the border now. What will Biden do? I'm a Delawarean, you know, but I want to tell it like it is. He is not for the country as we know it, as Trump defines it and puts his words into acts. You know, the Five-Town Journal published a picture of what have you over there, of the demonstration in front of the Capitol, showing that it was the election was a farce, and the FBI should investigate. He's not responsible for having those demonstrators break into the Capitol. Here they want to impeach him, not the first time, because a telephone conversation second time because he incited the people to riot. And if anyone is to be incited, it should be the mainstream media, which has negativity continuously about the president. Continuously about President Trump every night, nothing positive, all the positive things he did, only lies and calamities that he perpetrated, that they say that they govern the people's minds, and that's how he lost the election. And that's why the FBI should take a toll of those 4 counties and those 4 states and take a deposition from the poll counters and from the poll observers. Somebody's lying and somebody should be in jail, and it's the responsibility of the FBI to find out who the liars are, because that is a felony and turning over the election. Now, you say, well, it's over, forget about it, let's go, move on, march forward. There was recently, a couple of years ago, I don't know why I'm getting so tangential here. A couple of years ago, there was a marathon, New York Marathon. So the woman won the marathon, she did a good time, and they gave her the prize and everything. And then afterwards they say, hey, listen, how could you do it so fast? And she didn't even work up a sweat. She didn't even work up a sweat. So they said, let's go back and check these things out. And bottom line, the truth came out that she took a subway. She took a subway halfway down the course. And then she got out and continued running. So the truth will come out. Okay, look, I don't want to get tangential into politics. I'm going to rile some nerves, right? So, but the point is that we have the Jewish people under the command of God after they were released from bondage, and they wanted to get to the promised land. Because of the transgressions, they had to go 40 years wanderings to 42 places which are enumerated and spelled out and place marked on the map. So we told you about the portable temple, right? We told you about the portable temple that moved with them, and everything had staves. The portable temple. It moved with them. The enclosure, the wall. All these figures are constructed according to Boyle. That all the dimensions are recorded in the Torah, in the book of Exodus. Get a book of art scrolls. Art scrolls, right? Art scrolls. Give you a good translation. Not a Bible that you picked up in the in the hotel room. Here, this is in that holy area. There are 3 objects. You have the candelabra. You have the incense altar, all with staves on them. You see, they have the staves, and you have the showbread, the table of showbread. And there was a curtain. There was a curtain dividing those 3 articles that I just showed you to the Holy of Holies, which is which houses the now you see so many pictures. Holy of Holies, which houses the Ark. The Ark of the Covenant. The only thing that was placed there was the Ark of the Covenant. And they traveled with that like a carnival, so to speak, lahavdil. That they took apart the pieces and they went to the next site at the command of God, and I could use an assistant. And when speaking about an assistant, here's the piece I was looking at. This is the Holy of Holies, the only physical object ever given to man by God, and that was housed in that ark. And it's interesting to note, in Shemos, Exodus, it talks about the building of the portable temple, the walls, the ark, all the different furniture that was in it, according to specification. As a matter of fact, God, it says over there, and write this down, Exodus 25, 8, make for me a mishkan that I may dwell with you. Make for me a mishkan. Make for me a tabernacle that I may dwell within you. And that's what they did. They ran hurriedly, alacrity to build that mishkan according to specs. And who was in charge was the master builder was Bezalel, and his assistant was Achiyav ben Achisalach. Achiyav ben Achisalach, right, of the tribe of Dan. And Moses went up to the mountain and to clarify things that he didn't understand regarding the construction. You have look in Exodus chapter 25, 30, 26, 40, and 27, 9, and all those chapters. It says Moses went up to inquire as to the clarification of the specs. And he inquired with God on those three occasions, right? 25, 40, 26, again, 25, 30 or 25, 40, 26, 40 or 30, 26, 40, and 27, 9 in the chapter in Exodus, those chapters. Oh, we got chapters. Who made the chapters? The Gentiles made the chapters, and they divided it according to wherever they felt was the new subject matter, and 90% of the times they were wrong, and they really screwed up things and made it difficult to get a good deciphering of what's going on. But the Jews kept that system because it was easier to find a quote that they wanted and by calling the name of the chapter and verse, as opposed to saying, well, you can find it in Parshas Yisro, you can find it in Parshas Mishmatim. There's a long, tedious sentences, so the chapters and verse make it easier, so they kept that system. So where are we? I don't know where we are, but we're just trying to bring out the fact that the Haredim, or the God-fearing people, or what we're interested in following that kind of a lifestyle, away from all this wasting of time. It says over there, write this down, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. It says, I put before you life and death. Choose life that you might live. Right? That's in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. This is the Gemara, right? Put before you, again, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I put before you life and death. Choose life that you might live. In other words, you have free will. And with that free will, you are to choose virtuously in all your interactions so that you will accrue holiness points that you may turn in to God at your demise, determining what seed, if any, you get in the next world, in the soul world. How many people think they're going to have the soul? You know, when you give something over to a loved one and that loved one enjoys it, you feel good. Right? What is that feeling? Is it your heart, your liver, your lung, your organ, your soul? And that's what we do when we get a piece of Talmud or a piece of Chumash, the Bible, that makes us feel good. That's food for the soul. Learning is food for the soul. That's equal to all the commandments of the Torah. The food for the soul. Learning. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. The study of Talmud is the equal to all the other commandments put together. The study of Talmud, because it gives you soul food, soul merit. And you know, I want to get into that fact of what the Talmud is, and let's look at the Talmud. Look, I'm going to translate some of this Talmud for you to get into it. You know, say Talmud. What is Talmud? And this is what, and you know, I don't even have my papers here. This is what the Orthodox should be doing, right? Instead of building up a Peninsula Boulevard, they should call it the Synagogue Peninsula. Synagogue Boulevard. They have it. What good are those houses of worship, and then till the have-nots come and take it away? You're running into another area, like, you know, from Brooklyn to East. What is it? From the Lower East Side to Williamsburg to East New York, Brownsville, New Lots, Arverne, Rockaway, and Five Towns. That's where they keep on building. What about the people you left behind? What about the young Israels that you built and now are young churches? Where's the young Israel? Why look at 57th Street in Arverne, 57th and Rockaway Beach Boulevard. Just right, make a turn from the underneath the overhead tracks. You'll see that used to be the young Israel Arverne. Now it's a church. It's the same thing happened in the Bronx. Who is responsible for that? For building churches? Where is the young Israel? Let them make a statement instead of doing all these statements of anti-Semitism. You want to stop anti-Semitism? You look at Deuteronomy 28:9. Deuteronomy 28:9. Do the commandments, and all the nations will have awe and fear of you. I mean, every day in the davening, in prayer, we say, make the Torah sweet in our mouths and sweet in the mouths of our Jewish people and our brethren. And how is that going to happen if there's no time spent? There's got to be a Beis Medrash with a Mashgiach. I have a Mashgiach ready to answer. Mashgiach means he answers all the questions you have, but you study. You study the text from yourself. If you don't have a text that you're studying, we'll give you one that's good for you depending on where you're holding. And everything's in English. You got a rabbi, the book is the rabbi. And you got to work and you got to spend your time in learning. Not running to the Mets night at Young Israel at the Mets Stadium. Or Jewish night at the ball game when they play Hava Nagila. That's Judaism. How much time do you spend learning? Look, let's talk about the Gemara, the Talmud, which is so important. And you can get this in English. And I'm going to tell you this by heart. The first Talmud, the brachos. You can, brachos, right? And what does it say? Me'amosai korin Shema bi'arvin. From when to when? The first question. Everything's questions. I know when I was growing up. I'm from Delaware, right? And I came from New York, and I heard the Rabbi Millers speaking. He said the rain, manna, and the significance of the word rain, R-A-I-N, means that just like manna, the food that the Jews ate in heaven was from the food that the Jews ate on earth for the 40 years of traveling. Also, the income and parnasa and resources are from heaven, and therefore don't keep on working to get more and more monies and resources, but work for the next world, for the soul world. Don't worry about your income and resources for your retirement ages. Work for resources in the next world, in the soul world. It says over there in the Torah, it says, all Jews inherit the world to come. All Jews inherit the world to come, right? Except those that committed transactions that were far and beyond the call of a normal person. And I'm talking about Yerovam ben Nevat, right? He broke away from the main body of Judaism, and he set up his own little country, so to speak, the kingdom of Israel, while we are descendants of the kingdom of Judah. And many people were brought into captivity, the lost 10 tribes, although many people did return to Judah. You know, we have to speak a little bit about Tanakh. Tanakh is so important. But right now we have the book of the Talmud. It says the very first word should be in the storefront or in the yeshiva, not building funds, but building people. And that's where it should be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You come, you're chaver. If you don't have one, it's your book. And there'll be a mashgiach. Mashgiach means the one that can answer questions and help you along if you're stuck on anything. But the basic point I want to make now is let's learn about Talmud, right? Those out there that don't have any inkling of what Talmud is, I want to give it to you in English here. But the very, very first sentence of the very first Talmud says, Me'amosai korin Shema b'arvim. From when to when do we read the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening? What is Shema Yisrael prayer? Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God. Hashem is one. Hashem is our God. We don't banner the name of God, but we call him Hashem because the name, they only heard of his name, but we did not ever see him. He cannot be seen. So the point is that, the people bless God. Look at 26:17 in Deuteronomy, where the people bless God and God bless the people, and God, so to speak, anthropomorphism, okay. So what happened? They put God in human form. We'll get it. So they put God in a human form, and he prayed with two sacred objects in his hand. His right hand was Eish Das. It says Yemina Eish Das. Yemina Eish Das. His right hand, Yemina, his right hand was the fiery law, which was the Torah. And in his left hand was the Zeroa Uzo, the power of his hand, of his arm, the power of his arm, which is the left hand, which is the all of the strength of God, which we can see by the all that we have in 28:9 of Deuteronomy, that we see that all, the word all is there, so that we can see the tefillin of his strength of his left arm. Yeah, so look, we get so tangential, but I want to say the Torah says, limit business and pursue learning. How much learning have you accomplished during the week, during the day? You can't do it because there's no time left. From work and overtime, taking the kids to the soccer game. Oh yeah, all these yeshivas that have basketball and all these extracurricular activities that is so time consuming. How could you ever send a kid to a school where the basketball players have to practice every night, have to go to trips of traveling to play at different schools around the area, the tri-state area, and also doing these practice sessions, and the same thing for the volleyball court and volleyball teams, and for the hockey teams, practice, go to the game. For what? You have to spend your time in learning so you can review and go into many different books that there is for you to imbibe in, and therefore earn extra points and get rewarded for it. I mean, you know, a child, we reward a child if he did good. Reward the child if he did good. I mean, why should he get a reward? I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to behave himself. So that's what God does. God treats you as a child and rewards you for doing good for yourself. Okay, so we still want to get into the Talmud, right? From when to when do we read the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening? We can read the Shema Yisrael prayer all the time, all evening, all day long, acknowledging that God is above us and that we say blessings when we have the food. Every minute that we are able to say a blessing, we should Baruch Atah Hashem. You, Lord our God, are the source of all blessing. Shahakoni B'dvara, created everything with your word. That we should be saying several times a day. Okay, so back to the Talmud. From when to when do we say the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening? That's the question. From the time that the Kohanim entered to eat their truma. From the time that the priest entered to eat their truma. Well, I mean, I asked you a time limit. I want to know the parameters of onset time when I can get credit for saying the evening prayer, right? From what time to what time? So the answer is there's 3 stars come out. The Gemara says when the 3 stars come out, that's when the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. 3 stars come out. So why doesn't it say when the 3 stars came out? Everybody agrees that when can you eat their truma? When the 3 stars come out. When the 3 stars come out, that is the onset parameter of when you can eat your teruma, the Kohanim, and that's the time, the onset parameter in which we can say the Shema Yisrael prayer until the end of the first watch, which is the watch. What does it mean, the end of the first watch? I mean, the watch or the shifts are in the evening for instance, if the 12-hour evening, say 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., so there are 3 shifts. So the end of the first shift would be 10 p.m. 10 p.m., right? From the 3 stars come out to 10 p.m. That's when you say Shema Yisrael and you get credit for it. But okay, but everyone agrees to that. So the Gemara says, well, look, there was a story of Rabbi Gamliel, a very big righteous person, and he says that you could say the Shema Yisrael till the morning prayer, till the morning star, till the morning light, which is 45 minutes before sunrise. So how could he tell his children to say you could still say it? The answer is that to keep you far away from sin, by telling you that the deadline is 12 midnight, which most rabbis hold for, then you might take a snooze and you oversleep. So therefore, you should realize that the real parameter is midnight, but you can say the Shema Yisrael all the way till the morning star and still get credit, because that is a real parameter. But we want to get back to the first phrase. It says, from when to when do we learn the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening? Well, the answer is from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat the truma. So the Gemara asks the question, well, why does it need such a thing like that? Why don't just say 3 stars? So the Gemara answers, because to learn by a thing by the way. What do you mean a thing by the way? We learn more Torah from the time that instead of 3 stars, it's saying from the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. Truma, what is truma? We can learn what truma means. Truma. If I'm a farmer in Delaware and I have 100 bushels of apples, I have to give 2% to the Kohen. Any Kohen, give him 2 bushels. So the remainder, I give Meiser Rishon to the Levi. I give 10%. 10% of that, 9.8 bushels, goes to the Levi. And then Meiser Sheni, another tithe of 10%, goes to Yerushalayim. When you bring it to Yerushalayim and you eat together with your family and your friends, and you come with all the people there in the first year, second year, third year first year, second year, fourth year, fifth year, you go to Yerushalayim together with your friends, and you should not go empty-handed. You should bring a gift like you're going to the king to meet God Almighty. And in Yerushalayim, the Sholosh Regalim, the three holidays, right? Commemorating the great gift of food, which is Pesach, the grains, and Shavuos, the ingathering of the first fruits, and the Sukkos, the harvesting. So yeah, and what about the second year? The fourth year. The third year and the fourth, first, second, fourth. The third year and the sixth year. What about those years? On the third year and the sixth year, Meiser Sheni becomes Meiser Oni, and you give it to the poor in your neighborhood or whatever neighborhood. So you got a Truma, 2%, Meiser Rishon is 10% to the Levi, Meiser Sheni, 10% you eat in Jerusalem, and the third and the sixth year, that Meiser Sheni becomes Meiser Oni. You give to poor people. So here we are. Where are we? I don't know. Look, you can say, what is he talking about? It doesn't make sense. It's crazy. What is it? You buy it, get this, everything explained with footnotes. You get the Gemara right here. You call up 718-921-9000. 718-921-9000. And you get for $10, you get this paper book, and you can go 3 words at a time. And you can save the world and bring Judaism and all righteous people inherit the world to come. We're not looking for any converts, but we're looking for righteous people, especially those that follow the laws of Noah. Noah was not a Jew, but his laws were applicable to the Gentile. The Judaism has a much higher standard. We have a different diet. We are a holy people. Deuteronomy 7:6, it says, you shall be holy, because I have chosen you as a treasured people from all the peoples on the world. You should be holy because I chose you as a treasured people from all the peoples of the world. And 14:1 and 2 in Deuteronomy, the same thing. You should be holy. I've chosen you as a treasured people from all the people of the world. Deuteronomy 14:21 also says, you are a holy people, and therefore you should join God with His holiness. And Leviticus chapter 20, verse, so there's 26 verses in it. How do you become holy? You do not worship idols and not partners with another god, so to speak, and only with Judaism. And you should not be immoral. And the third thing, you should eat kosher. You should eat kosher. How does that make you a holy person? That's what it said. Eat kosher, and then I will separate you from all the nations of the world to be mine. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26, right? Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26, and that is what our striving is, to strive to be holy, which is perfection. No one can be perfect, but we try to get the highest mark that we can, and that's why we have to acknowledge the Haredian and try to emulate them as much as possible in our environment where we live in, and give honor to those people. And I don't know how much time I have left, but the point is that in 29 in Deuteronomy chapter 29:8, when the Jews were given the second covenant. Right? You pass before me, and you will pass through the covenant, and I will give you and its imprecations. The covenant together with its imprecations. That means the curses that will befall you, and that's why we have these curses here today. What do you think? That we're so the pandemic and all these curses, because the Jews have to become stronger when they see affliction and evil in the world. They have to return to the basics of observing the commandments, and that's how we see in 29, chapter 29. Over there's an individual who went away from Judaism, and he says, "I will bless myself in my heart, and peace will be with me." It says, chapter 29 in Deuteronomy, "And peace will be with me, and I'll be happy and peaceful." And then he'll find himself in exile. His land will not be productive. He will go through all kind of vicissitudes. And then in chapter 30, he sees the light and he comes back. All this is an answer to the New York Times, who want to say that all these Haredi, they're leaving once they see the light. And the bottom line is, when you look at the polling numbers for the Haredi parties, they have 17 votes. 17 just voting for observant Jewry. The Torah should be ruled according to the laws of the Torah. With that, I wish you all the best.